Welcome to the Final Frontiers radio show, where we spotlight inspiring missionary endeavors around the globe. Stay tuned to hear how you can personally get involved, helping the Lord's frontline soldiers effectively advance the gospel where it has never been preached before. In this Thanksgiving/Christmas episode, we'll be thanking donors for their contributions and talking about other upcoming trips and opportunities. And we'll be hearing from Final Frontiers founder Jon Nelms, who is presently in the country of India.
You're listening to the Final Frontiers radio show. I'm Daniel Nelms, and this is our special November/December Thanksgiving end of the year special. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you to all of you, all of our listeners, all of our donors. Man, this has been a great year. I can't believe that it's already almost over. It's been incredible what we've gotten done this year, what we've been able to accomplish because of your prayers and because of your financial support. Just recently, we got in a check to buy, I think it was 13 motorbikes in, was it Africa or India?
Africa. I think we'll be using some possibly over in India as well.
Possibly in India for some new projects that we've got going on that we hope to be able to roll out globally. So that was a real blessing.
Yeah, we've been able to complete quite a few different projects, a lot of which we've mentioned over the course of this year. Just check out our YouTube channel. You'll see about the Yene project that was completed, and we were able to get a video out on that. A lot of stuff with Ernest. We had the Ernest special down in Honduras. So anybody who's interested in going on a visionary trip, you can learn about what goes on those and what won't happen to you.
That's all on there, as he said. And, on that note, Screening Room, the first season is available on DVD and Blu-ray. You can find that on Amazon and also at our website, finalfrontiers.world. That season is about to wrap. It'll be, I think the last episode will air sometime in the middle of January. It's going to be our behind the scenes and bloopers that it's going to be in January. But our last regular series episode will be later this month in December of 2019.
Those right there, boy, we've put a lot of work into those, and I know we've had our Thanksgiving special just come out, and now we will have a Christmas special coming out. You're going to get to see a Christmas-type character here that'll kind of end the season. But there'll be some more fun things, and the DVD or Blu-ray is available so that you can see some extra episodes that are not online.
Yeah, and someone had wrote us to let us know that they had a hard time understanding the dialogue in that Thanksgiving episode. Actually, on YouTube, you can enable closed captioning, and we put those in there as subtitles. So if you're having a hard time understanding the accents or anything else, just click that little closed caption button, and it'll put those up for you so you can kind of read along if you're having difficulty understanding some of those thick accents.
One thing I was thankful for Thanksgiving was being able to get done with some shooting that we have been doing around here. It took about 3 weeks or so, maybe more, working on some things that you're going to get to see in Ernest Season 2. And for those out there that watched the first season, at the very end, you see Ernest washed up on a beach. And we just recently, all of us here, got done filming some odds and ends of Ernest when he's been a castaway on that particular beach. So that is going to be coming. After the first of the year, you'll get to see some of that, but I was so grateful to get those done.
Yeah, that's been painful. There's been a lot of work.
It's a beach scene, but it is not summer, as you may well know.
And we do shots in the forest, bamboo forest, and we do them in mountains and waterfalls, and it was all in a cold time of year. We're shooting it all in November, right before December. Actually, the leaves just fell this last weekend. They finally fell here in Georgia, and I was so grateful because the ground was completely covered. And I realized, wow, God gave me that last week. It had gotten super cold, and then back and forth, and I even had to do some where I was drenched in water, standing in the rain, in the cold. And so you'll never know that when you're watching it, but we managed to pull it off, and God helped us pull off those scenes. Amen. Right before it got super cold.
Amen.
Now, I just want to do a quick shout out, being thankful for another donor who gave a wonderful check. Part of it's going towards Laurie Insky and Oleg over in Ukraine, is to buy some of the table tennis tables. We'd mentioned this probably a couple of months ago about some needs they have, their outreach ministry over there. Table tennis is such a wonderful opportunity for reaching the kids. They've actually got some tournaments going, and some of their children are doing really well in sort of the state and regional area. So these extra table tennis tables are going to help draw in more of those local children there and help win them to Christ while they're learning how to play table tennis and compete. The donor also gave towards our next Power Pack project, looking at hopefully something over in India, or getting some of those details worked out.
Looking for people to match that, too.
Yeah. So make sure you check out the website, finalfrontiers.world, and click on the Projects tab, and you can see some of the projects we're trying to raise funds for. These are getting going, so get in while the going's hot.
That was interesting that you brought up the thing about Lori. If you're here in the United States and you've got, teens or preteens like I do, you'll know that, they spend a lot of their time just on their phones and on their tablets, and it's still sort of old school in places like the Ukraine. The kids are still coming together, they're still playing outdoors, they're playing table tennis. They're actually getting to the point where they're semi-pro at this, or some of the very, very skilled people. They've got our Touch of Life soccer team over there. They've got the table tennis. There's really a lot of stuff that's still going on over there.
That donor also gave so that we could help the very poor children in Romania and gypsy children. That was a video that I had done almost 2 years ago for Daily Bread, the idea of helping with that and helping... Smogies. I had talked to him. I said, what is your needs right now? He says, we've got this big Christmas outreach. We're trying to reach them for the gospel. We're trying to give some families some extra food or clothing or cleaning supplies or things like this that we want to do something really special. And he gave me the price for it, and we were able to do that for them. So anybody out there, you don't realize how just a little bit of money sometimes goes to something that can really, really help a need. Like with a preacher we were able to help in India who had lost his property recently, and he needed a motorbike, and he only needed like $700 more to be able to take care of the needs that he had, and we were able to do that.
Yeah, sometimes those little donations of where needed most go to help so many different little things that come up. We don't want to overwhelm you with all these needs that we receive here.
Hundreds
you
of
just
needs.
Be like, how am I going to help? There's just so much. What am I going to do? And then you end up just going, I can't do this. If I help this person, I'm not going to be able to help that person. And so we don't want to overwhelm you with all these little needs, but there are so many. So anytime you make a donation to where most needed, it will go to one of these little projects that are so important around the world.
Yeah. I can think of something recently that one of our national preachers contacted me and was asking for prayer and asking just to make the need known. He's Tom Okeo. He lives in near Kisumu, Kenya. And he's the one that I talked about several years ago with a family of like 13 or 14 kids, and they were had absolutely nothing. Yes, and one of them had died. And he was talking about another family in that area to me recently. It was just such a burden on him that he wanted to ask for prayer. And the mother had left, and the father had basically left. He has a job somewhere, but they never see him. And the kids, he was talking about their school grades and everything and how there's no money to go to school. And he's trying to help that family. And it's always anybody in his area. It's highly Catholic, but he is trying to show kindness. He's trying to show the love of God to that community right there. And I've walked through that community and seen how poor some of those families are. But this is one I don't remember. And he sent me a picture of like 3 kids, and then he showed me a family of like 10 or 11. And so if anybody wanted to do something special for them at Christmas time, I mean, it's another family that the kids have got nothing, and he's trying to help them out. They have no food, they have no money to be able to go to school, and their parents are basically not there now. And so that's something I wanted to mention. It's Brother Tom Okeo. If anybody wanted to help with something like that, please do. But please pray for that family.
Another thing we had mentioned last year, if anybody has an old used pickup truck, we could really use one of those.
Could.
I mentioned that last year. So far there hasn't been any takers. If you got an old pickup truck, an old beater, hey, as long as it's got tires and brakes and it still runs, it doesn't have to look pretty. We really need a truck that we can use for our filming here. Not just the filming, just errands.
Stuff.
We have to haul things. Most of us have a really long commute, so we drive around in little tiny, commuter cars. So anytime we have to get, supplies to fix the office, because there's always stuff that's falling apart here. It's an old building. We either have to rent a truck or, pay your big box hardware store, $200 to bring it down here to us, or it's just a big deal. So if you've got an old truck that you don't need and you want to get rid of it, you're tired of paying the insurance on it, hey, consider giving it to us because we could put it to good use.
If you watch Thanksgiving special, you'll see that little red car that the girls supposedly drive, and that's basically what we use to cram all of our gear in when we go film. It is still full of leaves and sand from the beach and everything that we've been filming. That's basically the filming car.
My poor Jeep is just clogged with sand, and it's a mess. I cleaned it. I thought I got it all out, and then more came out. It's a never-ending bucket of sand now. But yeah, if you've got an old truck and you don't need it, we could really put it to some good use here.
Around this Christmas season right now, we'd really like you to be praying still for Jon Nelms. He's out of the country right now. He is in India, and he's going to be heading for Sri Lanka.
Next on to Sri Lanka. In fact, we have an update for him, and we're going to play for you right now.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Jon Nelms. Nolene and I are over here in India. We've been here since the middle of November, and we should be getting home around the middle of December. So the Lord has blessed us to allow us to have a solid month here between India and Sri Lanka. And we've been having a good time, really. The food's fantastic to me. Nolene's losing a lot of weight. She doesn't seem to be able to handle the spices. But for me, the hotter, the better. And the weather's been great. Praise the Lord for that. I can't handle that hot weather anymore. And the best part of our ministry is that we've been traveling from church to church. We went first into Bangalore with Pastor Babu Prasad, saw the orphanages that he has there, the feeding centers, visited a lot of the leper people, and spoke to, I don't even remember how many pastors it was, probably 80 or 90 pastors altogether. From there, we traveled not by plane, but by car up with Pastor Solomon Bija up to Karnataka state to the town of Hubli. And in those 4 or 5 days, we covered, well, he said it was over 1,500 kilometers. It felt more like 15,000 miles to me. And every day we'd stop at 4 to 5 churches, have a little service, meet the people, shake the hands. Everybody wants to give you cookies and tea with milk and things like that. But everywhere you go, they want you to preach at their church. And then when other churches in the area hear you're there, they want to know why you didn't come to their church. Everybody wants you to drop by. But we got to see his ministry, and I took Nolene and one of my former doctors, who's a neurologist. He's now in ministry. But I took them up to the Yalama temple, where they got to see people falling prostrate on their faces before pagan idols and worshiping their gods that way. It's very, very sad to watch, but it really shakes you into reality to see what the Bible was talking about, like in Ephesus and places like that, and to understand that that's still going on in the world today. So it was an eye-opening thing for them. After we left there, again, meeting with a number of preachers, speaking in a number of churches, we flew out to Rajamundry, a place I first started coming to in 1992. It's been fantastic. We spent 4 days with Ananda Kumar Pavila, one of our national directors there, and had several meetings with pastors in this area. Altogether, I really wasn't counting, but I would guess that we probably met with another 100 or so pastors here. And some of these men I've known for 27 years. That was a great blessing to meet with them. I know in one case, a brother walked up to me and said, "We have 4 generations of preachers." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you supported my grandfather, you supported my father, you support me, and now y'all have started supporting my son as a church planter. So we have 4 generations of Final Frontiers preachers in our family." And that, of course, was a tremendous blessing to me to hear that. Today we came back here and met with a number of old friends from the past, and I have had the opportunity today of meeting with several more preachers who came here to visit me. We didn't have time to go to their place, so they came here. And some of these will be directors of entire groups that we'll be able to work with in the future. One of them goes up into the state of Orissa, where there's a lot of tribal groups. He has 30 preachers up there, and then 20 preachers in an area about an hour and a half north of us in this place. So we're quite tired. We've gone to a lot of leper places, and you may have seen our notices on Facebook in the last few days about a leper feeding center we wanted to get going in this region. And, it's the most amazing thing. I sent that text out, or not text, but what do you call it, about the leper feeding center for the children. And we went and got a bite to eat. After that, I came back to the room, and I got an email from a fellow saying that he had pledged $500 and a friend of his had pledged $200. Well, our total need was only $1,050 a month. So within an hour, we'd gotten $700. Well, the next morning, I had 2 emails from 2 different folks saying each of them would give $35 a month. And just a few minutes ago, I got off the phone with a brother in Illinois who heard about us through someone else. He didn't even know us. And he has pledged to give the balance for the first year. So in a matter of just a couple of days, we raised $1,050 a month support to feed 30 leper children, and there'll be food left over to help some of the leper adults as well. That was a tremendous blessing. Now we're about to go to bed and get up in the morning. We're heading off to Madurai, the southern tip of India, actually the state where Amy Carmichael had her ministry years and years and years ago. I visited that once, I think probably 5 or 6 years ago. And we're going to be there for, I think, a week. And then we're heading down to the country of Sri Lanka, used to be called Ceylon. And we will be there for, if I'm not mistaken, about 4 days. So over the next 10 days or so, we're going to be meeting probably several hundred pastors, if not more, all eager to work with us, to be involved in our ministry. And then we'll be hopping on a plane, and Lord willing, making it all the way back home and getting a couple of weeks rest before we possibly head off again for regions beyond. So just wanted to send this recording to everyone to say hello. Thank you for your prayers. And please don't forget us while we're over here. Hope you have a great holiday. God bless.
That was absolutely phenomenal. It's great that he's able to go over there and get us into these new sort of inroads and all these projects. These are just wonderful, and we hope that you will prayerfully consider helping us out with these.
We're hoping to get back into India very, very soon. In fact, I was hoping to be there in November as well. But we're looking at some Power Pack projects and some other projects in India. We hope later this year, later this next year coming up, that we can get over there and get some of these projects done. We also had discussed Gil Anger in the hospital last time we had a podcast, and Jon Nelms was saying if anybody wanted to give towards that and help him out. I can tell you that his wife just had to go to the hospital. She was the one taking care of him, and she's going to be there for 2 weeks. And I heard from somebody how somehow Gil got into her room and was there next to her bedside. And, his brain, the bleeding's not on his brain so much now. The biggest thing that they're asking for prayer, it's at different times, different things. It was his lungs, it was the pneumonia a couple weeks ago. Now they're hoping that people will pray for his liver. There's a lot of toxins that are causing his abdomen to swell. And he has to be taken care of 24/7. And so they're going to be doing some rehab with him soon. But I'm going to go and be with his ministry in Myanmar, which was the last thing on his heart. I'm going to spend just about a week with them. I wish I could spend more, but it's just about that much. And they're looking forward to that. Last year, Gil had done a special thing for Christmas in that area. And there's a big outreach, and so they're naming villages that they want to go to. They're sending me pictures of places with Burmese children and families, and it's about the only time of year that, as a Christian, you can really legitimately talk to them about the Christmas season and explain to them, because the Buddhists there don't celebrate that at all, of course. So pray for me as I go back to Burma. I hope I'll get to see Vel Siama and the orphanage that we have there. I hope I'll get to spend some time with them and then spend some time up in the north where Brother Anger's ministry is.
Well, we hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes.
And don't forget, the year's almost up. So if you're going to make a donation and want to count it off on your taxes, you might want to go ahead and do that now.
In an age when the majority of countries in the world are highly restricted to foreign missionaries, we have to use the nationals to win their own people. Final Frontiers pairs national church planting missionaries who have already started churches and have strong, viable missionary experience with sponsors like you who want to see the gospel taken to the ends of the earth. To have a hands-on part in helping your fellow soldiers fulfill the Great Commission, visit finalfrontiers.org.
At the age of 11, I felt a call to missions. At the age of 12, that feeling was directed towards the closed country of Russia. By the time I was 15, I had memorized Russia's major cities, rivers, roads, and alphabet. I carried a map of Russia in my pencil bag to school every day to study it. At age 16, I wrote to Brother Andrew, author of the book God's Smuggler, volunteering to work for him. He accepted my appeal but told me to first go to Bible college. Obediently, I retracted my application to a university in Moscow and enrolled in Hyles-Anderson College to prepare spiritually for a life in Russia. Since then, I've traveled around the world more times than I can remember and have been in over 50 countries, but I have never yet been to Russia. Did I abandon the call of God? Not at all. God was simply using the country of Russia to teach me the difference between a temporary burden and a lifelong calling. My mother grew up reading about John and Betty Stam and wanted to be a missionary to China, even before she was converted. My dad, after receiving Christ in his late 20s, wanted to be a missionary, but said he lacked the faith. He did, however, become an ordained pastor at the age of 71 and traveled with me to several foreign fields. Did my parents fail God? Not at all. They loved God so much that they wanted to give Him the greatest gift they could, themselves. Because perhaps like you, they believe the ultimate gift is that of being a missionary. By not going, they actually did what God wanted them to do instead of what they wanted to do for Him. They raised 4 sons, 3 are missionaries and 1 supports missions. Over half their grandchildren are missionaries, and no doubt generations yet to be born will be as well. No, they didn't fail, they triumphed. We each need to discern the difference between a burden and a calling. Don't berate yourself for not doing what God never intended for you to do. I'm Jon Nelms. To learn more about missions, order a copy of my book, The Great Commission, on our website at finalfrontiers.world.
Your inquiries and comments are important to us. If you have any questions or perhaps subject matter you would like to have addressed on this show, please visit us at finalfrontiers.world.
You've been listening to the Final Frontiers radio show, funded by sponsors like you. Thank you so much for joining us. Through the funding of national and native preachers, we endeavor to effectively advance the gospel where it has never been preached before. If you want more information, visit www.finalfrontiers.world. That's finalfrontiers.world.